Hey everyone, welcome to the Danker Family Fantasy Football Podcast. Yes, I am back. This is more of an impromptu session. Didn't really have any notes for anything, for any recaps or predictions. I will be doing a recap and prediction. It's just not going to be as prepared. Just wanted to kind of go off the cuff and yeah, I mean it's been kind of a weird last couple of weeks for me. Been not feeling too well and ended up getting diagnosed with sinusitis and with a potential bacterial infection. It was just, ugh, it was horrible to deal with. I am feeling much better though, which is why I'm doing this right now. So I do appreciate those of you hope for your well wishes and hoping that I get better and all that. So thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the advice, Uncle Tom, um, Doctor Tom. But uh, yeah, anyway, I do appreciate it, and I do look forward to continuing this podcast moving forward and getting better. So let's go on to the what was I going to say? Let's go on to the standings after last week. So I didn't do a prediction video, but I did send out a text with all the predictions. So we'll get into that soon. But just a quick look at the updated standings after week 9. Obviously, Uncle Tom still at first place at 8-1. We have Joan in second in the West Division with at 6-3, with John in third at 4-5. Myself and Garrett tied for dead last at 2-7. I got my second win finally, so let's go. And then the East Division, obviously, you have Ben and Adrian neck and neck, tied at 6-3 each. Nelson Carey battling for at third spot right now, both at 4-5. Nelson's been struggling a bit. He did make a big trade though, which I will go over soon. Um, and then Carrie, yeah, she's been playing a little bit better of late. And then Carol down at 3-6. So those are the standings. And it's just looking at the season rankings. Obviously, Tom's at first with Garrett in last. Points for Tom is now back ahead. It was Ben for a slight moment, but now Tom is back at number one with Ben in second, Joan in third, and Adrian in fourth, which makes sense because those are the four teams currently, the top four teams in our league right now. So it all makes sense. Points against, Adrian is still number one. Adrian and Tom are the only two who have not had their opponents go over 1,000 this year. So lucky them. Nelson's in fourth. That's interesting, with his positioning, I guess. I'm fifth in points against, which doesn't seem right because I'm near the bottom. So I don't know what that means. John's close to a playoff spot, but he's second to last. So he's been very unfortunate. And then same with Ben. That's a little interesting that I've given up fewer points than Ben has. Yet Ben's just got a better team. He scores a lot more, so that makes more sense. But then looking at some streaks, obviously Tom's won 3 in a row ever since losing to my dad earlier this season. Joan, she's on a 2-game win streak. That's nice. She picked up the momentum, trying to really earn that playoff spot. And so far, it's looking good. She's 2 games ahead of John, and it's John's trying to do anything he can, and I will go over that soon. But yeah, this West Division's really looking like everything's almost locked in. Whereas the East one is kind of the one where things are still a little bit shady. Ben and Adrian so far comfortably are in the lead right now, up 2 games in front of Carey and Nels, but who knows? Anything could happen. There's still a few more weeks left to go in the season, and if these two teams get a get some losing streaks going and Carey and Nels can win, who knows? Maybe some craziness will happen. I doubt it, but we'll see. And then, yeah, looking at losing streaks too, Garrett, yeah, obviously he's lost 6 in a row. That's very tough. That's crazy. So he was 2-1 at one point, and now he's lost 6 in a row. And then Nels, yeah, he's been on the downside for the last couple of weeks. Hasn't really helped. He was on the cusp of a playoff spot a few weeks ago, but yeah, he's 2 in a row, two losses in a row is not going to help. And then looking at the playoff bracket, the projected playoff bracket, obviously you have Tom and Adrian being the 1 and the 4 seed, and the 3 and the 2 would be Joan and Ben. So those are your playoff matchups as it would be right now. And then the consolation, which doesn't really matter, would just be all of us here at the bottom. So yeah, so let's go on to week 9, the recap. So I didn't put out a prediction video because I was sick. But I did send out a text to the group chat, and I did get, I think I got two predictions right. No, actually, I got only got one. So it was a really bad week for me predicting. Um, so my overall record now is 24 correct and 21 incorrect. So I'm only th above three and making these predictions. They're hard, people. Um, but yeah, and then just looking at it right now, obviously, Adrian had the most points, 146.2. The fewest points goes to John Lopp at 80.74. Um, Highest margin of victory, just again, didn't really take too many notes. So it looks like Adrian got the best win, winning by 40 plus over Nels. The toughest loss, in my opinion, has to go to Garrett. Keen Garrett was one, I was one Keenan Allen reception on Monday Night Football late in the game away from losing that game. So if Keenan Allen didn't get that last reception, I think it was like a crazy 30-yard catch too that he made. Um, if he doesn't get that, I don't win that game. So yeah, that's gonna be the toughest loss right there for Garrett. Um, and I guess with that being said, I'm gonna take the luckiest win, and I'll take it. I don't care. It's only my second win of the season. It's been a really bad season for me, but yeah, I'll definitely take it. And then looking at the box scores real quick from these last, I'm not going to go too much into it like I usually do because I want to try to make this video a combined recap and prediction video for next week. So obviously I beat Garrett by three. Garrett had Joe Burrow who did well. Aaron Jones had a nice bounce back game. And then Odell Beckham Jr. surprisingly had a good game. But everyone else very underwhelming. I mean, he started a running back who was out, and Dameon Pierce. So Garrett's just not really paying attention, I guess, that much to his running back situation. But and he could have started Jerick McKinnon, and that could have made the difference. So what can you do, man? I mean, you control so much, man. But yeah, looking at my team, Derrick Henry did great for me. Dalton Kincaid, he's been a good pickup. Keenan Allen, I mean, even though he underprojected, he still did well. So yeah, I mean, both of our teams didn't really score much, but obviously I just had enough production from just enough people. Um, yeah, I couldn't really rely on my receivers this week other than Keenan Allen. So and my defense too. I played the Bills defense. They didn't get anything. So yeah, that one didn't look so good. I could have played Najee Harris. I could have played Jerome Ford last week, but I decided to go with Darrell Henderson against Packers. That didn't work out. Whatever. But I won anyway, so it's all good. Going on to this next matchup, Joan versus Carroll. I predicted Carroll would win. Joan won, so I got that one wrong as well. But good job, Mom. For Mom, it was Josh Allen who had a great game. Austin Eckler had a 21-point game. That's good. Raheem Mostert, decent game. Jake Ferguson, 22.1 points. So that was a great play by Mom there. And the Chargers defense too. 26 points against the Jets. That was honestly the difference maker. 128 to 102, 26-point difference. So yeah, so Chargers defense helped Mom win. Um, you know, Good overall performance. Her receivers didn't do well other than Garrett Wilson, but what can you do when Christian Kirk's on a bye and Josh Palmer's out with an injury? So you had to go with Josh Downs, who wasn't really, that impressive so far. And George Pickens is very up and down, so you never know what you're going to get with him. Carroll, Jalen Hurts once again did his thing. Joe Mixon had a nice game. Nico Collins did pretty well. Ravens defense, whenever you get defense, they give you double digits. That's good. So 15 points there. Just wasn't enough though. Didn't get enough production from anyone else. Isaiah Pacheco really let you down. Carroll, Zay Flowers didn't do anything. Again, no tight end help. Jamar Chase, he even got only 8 points. So Rashad White getting 27.9 on your bench, that's got to sting. I mean, I didn't think he would be that great, but I guess he's been pretty solid the last couple of weeks. So he might be a guy you must start now. I mean, just looking at it, I mean, maybe it's one of those, you put him either at running back or flex because I like Mixon and Pacheco, but man, that's tough. And then even Jahan Dotson had 16.9 points. I mean, you don't really see that coming. I mean, he's been playing well recently, so he might be a guy to think about. Maybe he gets placed over Zay Flowers or over Nico Collins in some certain matchup games because you just never know with that. But yeah, that's how it shaped up for this one. Um, Nels versus Adrian. This is the only one I got right. I said Adrian would win, and he did. Ramondre Stevenson had a great game. CeeDee Lamb, 28 points. He's had really two good games last couple of weeks against the Rams, against the Eagles. He's got another one against the Giants coming up that he'll probably do great tomorrow. So and then Mark Andrews 17, Stephon Diggs 22. Even his kicker got 14. So yeah, overall just great production from Adrian's team. You only had two players get into single digits, and that was one of them was the defense, the Eagles, and the other one was DeAndre Swift, who normally doesn't even get. Normally he's getting in the you know, I forgot what do you call it, the double digit range. That's what it's called. But yeah, so so Adrian's team scored the most this week. Obviously, all of his players did well. Even on his bench, I mean, he could have gone with Deshaun Watson, but who knows with that. And even Gus Edwards, Gus Edwards has been playing really well last couple of weeks. He's a guy I would have started over, but I would have been wrong. I would have said start him over Stevenson, but that would have been wrong. So good thing I didn't have a prediction video to say that. For Nell's dad, I mean, Chris Olave and Pittman did all right. Raiders defense did very well at 18 points against the Giants. But other than that, Lamar Jackson struggled. He's very hard to figure out. He's either really good or really bad. There's no in between with Lamar. Tony Pollard's been really struggling lately. Um, but something happened, so he's no longer with Dad's team anymore. Uh, Brian Robinson did all right. Kelsey had a really bad down game. Adam Thielen had a down game. But yeah, and didn't really get much from on his bench too. I mean, Taysom Hill, yeah, you could have played him, but it's hard to start anyone over Travis Kelsey. And I guess you could have played him at flex too, but Thielen's been such a reliable guy all year, and you just never. But Taysom Hill's been very great like the last 4 weeks, so he's definitely a guy to really think about playing. And plus, he had guys like Javonte Williams and Deebo Samuel on bye, and James Conner's coming off IR soon, so that'll help him for sure at his running back depth. So moving forward. Fourth matchup, Ben versus Kerry. Kerry got the win on this one. Kerry was the lucky one to face Ben the week where both Christian McCaffrey and Travis Etienne had a bye. So Ben had to go with AJ Dillon and Rashawn Johnson, and boy, did that not help him at all. I mean, total what was that 7.8 points combined from his running backs. Yeah, that's not going to help. But he had AJ Brown do his thing. I mean, he only got 19. He's usually getting around like the 20, even 30 point mark, but still 19.6 is not bad. David Njoku had a decent game. Jacoby Myers had a nice game. The Colts defense, 27 points. I mean, wow, the Colts defense really did well for Ben, but it just wasn't enough because Kerry had Dak, who had a great game. Kerry also had T. Higgins, who finally had a great game. He's one of those guys. He only had one good game going into last week, and he bounced back, and now he's at 19. Kate Otten, what a pickup! She picked up Kate Otten like the Saturday. I'm pretty sure she picked Kate Otten up on Saturday before Sunday and played him, and wow, that really panned out. 23 points, and she started Deontay Johnson, the number one receiver in Pittsburgh, and he got 22. So great play there. So Kate Otten and Deontay Johnson, that combo really helped carry out. And she kind of had no choice to play Deontay and Cade because what was it? She didn't have a tight end, and Amon-Ra and Jahmyr Gibbs were on buys, so couldn't really play those guys either. No one really on her bench did anything of significance. So I mean, obviously it didn't matter. She won anyway, but yeah, just great performance by. She had like a big four, I would say, that really helped her out. Breece Hall had 10, which is all right, but she really that combined with Ben not having any good players play last week, any of his best players other than AJ Brown playing last week. Yeah, because he had to start Derek Carr because Justin Fields is still out, and he didn't have his good receivers or good running backs and one of his good receivers. So yeah, just I mean, Cole Kmet, I just saw this 23 and Amari Cooper. I didn't even see this. Look at this. Amari Cooper and Cole Kmet, that hurts. Yeah, I mean, Amari Cooper getting 24 points, if you start him over Chris Godwin and if you start Kmet over Njoku, yeah, that could have made a difference. Oh, that's got to sting. And then final one, John Lop versus Uncle Tom. For John, I got this one wrong too. I thought John would pull off an upset, but didn't get that one right. Herbert really struggled. Only got 7 points. Saquon Barkley did all right. Kamara, even though he got 11 points, worst game of his season so far. And yeah, I mean, he only had really like two good players, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, three, I guess if you want to count Kamara, or four. Wait, one. Yeah, four good players. Barkley, Kamara, Jonathan Taylor getting basically 18 points, and Matt Gay, the kicker, getting 11. But other than that, yeah, it just wasn't that good. CJ Stroud getting 41 points on your bench. Oh, that's tough. I mean, you can't ever. It's never a smart quote unquote decision to bench Justin Herbert, especially when he's been one of the best fantasy quarterbacks all season. But that's just that really hurts when that could have made the difference too. But yeah, just tough, man. Really tough. Your depth didn't really help you out this week either. I mean, Bijan's been struggling lately. Tyler Lockett didn't have a good game. Addison, I mean, he struggled with a new quarterback. Gabe Davis got zero. Um, for Tom, Mahomes had another decent, all right game, but just wasn't himself. Josh Jacobs did pretty well. Tyreek Hill, really bad game. 12.5 for Tyreek. That's no bueno. Michael Thomas got you nothing. TJ Hawkinson did all right. Devontae Smith had a good game. The Browns defense really helped you out, Tom. Uh, yeah, they only allowed like 53 yards or something like that total to the Cardinals. So, and they had three turnovers. So, yeah, very great game by the Browns defense. He had Dalton Schultz on his bench who had 27, but I mean that's one of those, you pretty much always go with TJ Hawkinson over Schultz. And Jalen Warren had 14.3 on his bench. Kenneth Walker again, he's been struggling, and I know the Ravens defense was a tough matchup, but Kenneth Walker's been going downhill uh, a lot recently. So I'm not liking where he had a great start to the season, but ever since like week six, week seven, probably week six, he's started to really decline. But you did enough to get out the win. John had a lot of struggling players. His receivers didn't help him out. Still didn't have any good performance from a tight end. So John is still searching for a tight end, although we'll get to that soon. And yeah, I just no luck for him at all this week, especially with underperformers like Herbert. So that was the week 9 recap. Going to some of the recent activity, we got trades. We finally got trades. Look at this. And both of them involved Nels Jensen, my dad. So first, there was a trade between yours truly and Nels. I traded away Najee Harris and Devontae Adams to Nels in return for Adam Thielen and Tony Pollard. Devontae Adams and Najee Harris have both been uh, huge disappointments for me. And for whatever reason, Nels thought, hey, those two will peak soon. I'm gonna get them. So I was like, you know what, take him. And I know Tony Pollard hasn't been playing well this season, but I figure he might be due. He's playing the Giants coming up this weekend. I feel like that would be a great kickstart game for Tony Pollard to get back up on that fantasy horse. Get a good, decent 20 plus point game. Now he might get like 15 or so, but I'd still take that. And Adam Thielen's just been Mr. Consistent, other than last week. I will give you that. He's been very good, very solid all season. Whereas Devontae Adams, he's only had like two good games all year, and it's just been very bad in that Raiders team. I know they have a new coach now, I know they have a new culture and everything, but even last week against the Giants, he didn't do much. So, and they have a young quarterback who's very inexperienced in Aiden O'Connell, and Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't been playing well, and yeah, just not looking good. So, best of luck to Nels on this one, but I don't know. I mean, have at it, Nels. Good. I mean, whatever you want, whatever you need to help you get through the playoff push. And then he made another trade with John Lopp. John Lopp traded away Cooper Kupp and Saquon Barkley to him for Chris Olave and Travis Kelce. Wow. So Nelson's really going for it. I mean, he figured, hey, Taysom Hill's been hot the last 4 games. He's going to ride with Taysom Hill. And he's trading away Travis Kelce, which you really don't see much in fantasy. Um, Along with Chris Olave to John. So John finally got his tight end. Finally, he's been struggling to get a good tight end, but looks like he finally got his tight end. So that will really shape up John's starting lineup now pretty well. He did lose Barkley and Kupp, but that's okay. You basically replace Kupp with Olave. And then with Barkley, John's got an abundance of running backs, so he'll just replace him with Bijan Robinson or with Zach Moss if he wants to play him, or with Achane because Achane's gonna be coming off the IR soon. So yeah, I mean, John's got options. He'll be fine. So I think that's actually a decent trade for John. Might maybe a good trade for Nels. We'll see. I mean, he had to get a better running back than Tony Pollard, and Saquon Barkley is that. So that really helps him. So he really boosted his running back depth there, and he's going to get James Conner back too off of IR. So Nels is actually going to have a decent running backs room filled with a bunch of starting running backs. Um, Losing Travis Kelce is a big gamble, so because he's going to go with Taysom Hill now. But Taysom Hill's been playing well, so it might be worth it. And then Cooper Kupp, you know, with Matthew Stafford hurt, I mean he's on a bye this week, so he's not going to play him, but he's going to play Devontae Adams probably on his team. Um, but yeah, could you imagine having Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp like just 2 years ago? That would have been insane to have both those guys on your team. Now he's got both Adams and Kupp on his roster, so we finally got trades, everyone. So how about that? Looking at some pickups we had this past week, I picked up Tank Dell. He had a great game last week. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to start him, but I probably should have, but I think I'm just going to give it a week. Again, this I took no notes, so I'm just kind of going through these one by one. Carroll added Baker Mayfield. Interesting. I don't know if the Eagles are on a bye, so I don't know if Jalen Hurts. I think they are. I think that might be. Yeah, the Eagles are on a bye, so she had to get a new quarterback to replace Jalen Hurts for this week. John Lopp out of the Packers defense. I don't know what that was for, John. Do not like that. Steelers run game is going to run all over them, and yeah. Um, I added Geno Smith just because I need a quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa is on a bye, so I need to get a quarterback, and I didn't have any good options, so I just was like, you know what, I'll just go Geno. He's playing the last ranked pass defense in Washington right now, so hopefully that works. Um, let's see here. What else happened? Tom added Jackson Smith-Njigba, dropped Michael Thomas. Very interesting. You know what, Tom? I hope we can both benefit from our Seattle pickups. I'll do a little fun little alliance with you there. Um, Adrian added the Bengals defense, dropping Matthew Stafford. Bengals are playing the Texans. I don't know. I mean, I know the Bengals defense has been playing well lately, but Houston, they've been looking pretty good lately. Um, Tom also added the Chiefs. Oh, so never mind. Right as I say, he added Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then he drops Jackson Smith and Jigba, and he adds the Chiefs defense. So I guess he's was like, okay, I'll pick up Jackson. Nope, never mind. I'll drop him for something better. So never mind. I take back what I said. Garrett, let's see, he added Deontay Foreman and dropped Damian Pierce. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so um, yeah, so Deontay Foreman is he had a pretty good game on Thursday night against Carolina, so that was a good pickup for Garrett. And he also added the Seahawks defense who's playing Washington and dropped Atlanta. So yeah, good pickup there. Um, and then let's see here. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah. So those were all the transactions from this past week. And I'm trying to go over, but there's this thing. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's like a little thing in the way. So, oh, there you go. Now it's out of the way. All right. Going to the box scores for week 10. First, we got myself versus Adrian. Took us 10 weeks, but I finally get to play Adrian. I think this is our first time playing each other. Um, Looking at the matchups. Again, this is not gonna take too long. Um, Sam Howell versus Geno Smith. Geno Smith's playing a weaker defense, and Sam Howell is playing on the road. So you know what? I'll go with Geno Smith. For running backs, I'm gonna go with my running backs just because Gus Edwards going against Cleveland, who's a really good run defense. Ramondre Stevenson, yes, he's been playing well of late. I do expect him to kind of regress a little bit. Derrick Henry going up against a tough Bucks defense, he'll be fine. Pollard, I think this is his breakout game. I think he gets back on top of things. I traded for him at the right time, so I think he does well. Keenan Allen, now Adam Thielen only got me 10 points, so that sucks. Keenan Allen's going to have a good game. CeeDee Lamb, he'll probably go off. DeAndre Hopkins will probably do well against Tampa. Um, you know, Adrian's got the better tight end. Adrian's got the better flex. I have the better defense, but Adrian's probably got the better kicker. So I'll give this one slightly to Adrian. Adrian will probably win this one. Other options, he could go with Deshaun Watson, but he is not actually. Never mind. Don't do that because he is playing the Ravens defense. So don't do that, Adrian. Um, Yeah, no other options really. I mean, I wouldn't play Drake London over any of these three receivers. So I think Adrian's playing it just the way he needs to, unless he could probably get a better defense. But other than that, yeah. And then for myself, I could go with Buffalo at home against Denver instead of the Jets on the road over Vegas, but I just figured, the Jets have more talent on their defense. Buffalo's kind of relying on a weaker matchup. And then I could go with I wish I would have gone with Tank Dell over Adam Thielen, but what can I do at this point? But I'm probably not going to go with Tank Dell over McLaurin and Keenan Allen. I think McLaurin's facing not a bad defense, but definitely not, they're middle of the pack kind of pass defense, Seattle. And plus Terry McLaurin's been playing well, so I like that. Um, yeah. So moving forward, so I said Adrian's going to win this one, I think. Carroll versus Carey. Baker Mayfield versus Dak Prescott. Give me Dak Prescott, easier opponent in the Giants. Running backs, we have Mixon and White, and we have Breece Hall and James Cook. I'm going to go with Breece Hall and James Cook easily. Now, I do like Joe Mixon. I think he'll have a good game against Houston. Rashad White, I know he's been good the last couple of weeks, but Tennessee's got one of the better run defenses. So I don't expect Rashad White to do much unless he gets a lot of like screen plays and he's used as a pass catching back. But I'm going to take Breece Hall against the Raiders and James Cook against the Broncos because those two teams' run defenses are terrible. So Breece Hall and James Cook, they are going to cook. Jamar Chase and Nico Collins. Nico Collins is projected 0. Is he hurt? Yeah, he's out. Okay, so Carroll, replace Nico Collins ASAP. You got Jahan Dotson who's been playing well. You could go with Zay Flowers. You could go, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's your only two options. So of those two, I would probably go with maybe Jahan Dotson over. I mean, Zay Flowers is the higher on the depth chart for Baltimore than Jahan Dotson is for Washington, but Dotson's been playing well recently. Uh, yeah, Dotson 2 straight double-digit games. I'm pretty sure Zay Flowers has been, uh, yeah, he's been pretty bad last couple of games. He's all the attention's going toward Mark Andrews and the run game in Baltimore. So I'd actually go Jahan Dotson over in that Nico Collins slot. And then Carey's got T. Higgins and DJ Moore. Yeah, if Carroll starts Jahan Dotson, I'm going to go with Carroll's receivers. Uh, at tight end, I like Sam Laporta. Kadon had a great game last week, and I think it's just one of those like one-off games. He'll be fine, but I don't think he'll be great. Sam Laporta, I think he comes off the bye week and does well against the Chargers pass defense. She's starting Evan Ingram at flex against San Francisco, which is interesting. I will pick Deontay Johnson over Green Bay though, over that one. So Carey's got the edge at flex. At defense, I'm going to give it to Carroll. Ravens defense has been insane this year. They've been pretty good. So I give Carroll defense, give Carroll tight end and receiver, Carey at quarterback, running back, and flex. So it's gonna be close. It's gonna be very close. I honestly think that I think what puts Carroll over the top in this one barely is that Jamar Chase is going to have a huge game against Houston, and the fact that right now it's projected that Carroll wins even without a receiver. Just adding the fact that she's going to put in Dotson or Flowers, like that's going to help her even more. So yeah, and plus the fact that DJ Moore only got 10, he could have gotten more. T. Higgins, is he out? He's out too. Wow. So this goes to show you I'm not prepared this episode. So I'm learning on the fly. So yeah, so Carey, you should not be starting T. Higgins. You should probably be starting Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you should be starting Jahmyr Gibbs. Actually, well, this is tough. This is very tough. You're seeing live thinking right now, like, oh man. Okay. So Carey's got a little bit of a dilemma here. Okay. Carey should move. Carey should obviously start Amon-Ra St. Brown. Start Amon-Ra St. Brown. She already started DJ Moore, so there's nothing we can do about that. So Carey should start Amon-Ra. I will still think she should start Deontay. So then that means Jahmyr Gibbs, you got to bench him. Okay, so Carey's got to bench Jahmyr Gibbs because I think James Cook and Breece Hall, these two have the much better matchups. And then everything else, yeah, everything looks fine. You can keep Brown on the bench. You can keep Trevor Lawrence on the bench. You can keep Chuba. I mean, Chuba Hubbard already played. You can keep Spears on the bench. So yeah, but even then, so if she does play Amon-Ra St. Brown, yeah, I'm still going to give the edge to Carroll just slightly. Tom versus Joan. Aiden, oh, this is a really good one. You got the top two in the West. Sibling rivalry going on here. Tom is playing Kyler Murray since Patrick Mahomes on a bye. Look at these players on a bye for Tom. He's got Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, and Devontae Smith on byes. Ooh, that's gonna be interesting. So, um, yeah, Kyler Murray coming back off of injury, so it'll be his first start of the season. But Mom's got Josh Allen. Give me Josh Allen. Austin Eckler and Alexander Madison and Kenneth Walker and Josh Jacobs. Uh, I mean, I think it's one of those like Josh Jacobs will do. I don't know. Playing the Jets, that's gonna be interesting. So actually, give me Mom's running backs here. I like Eckler against the Lions. Now Madison's got a tougher one against the Saints. However, Kenneth Walker's been struggling, and I know Washington doesn't have that good of a defense. This might be a bounce back game for Kenneth, but Josh Jacobs, I think that's a little too high of a projection for him going up against the Jets. I think the Jets' run defense is pretty solid. So, and they're facing a young quarterback, so they're going to want to force the Raiders to beat them with the pass game. So, uh, yeah, give me Mom's running backs too. At wide receiver. Uh, Tom's got Christian Watson playing and Brandon Ayuk. Now I like Ayuk, not don't really like Watson, but he doesn't really have many other options because of these buys. He got Tyreek on a buy, Devontae Smith on a buy, and that's it. He doesn't have any other receiving options, so he's just going with what he has to go with. And I don't like that for Tom. For Mom, Christian Kirk's coming back off the buy, and George Pickens. Now I think Pickens, even though he did bad last game, he'll have a bounce back game going against a depleted secondary in Green Bay. So I'm going to go with Mom's receivers. So look at that. I'm going with Mom's everything so far. Tight end, though, I will go with TJ Hawkinson. I think he's more consistent than Jake Ferguson. And I mean, Jake Ferguson, he is playing a Giants defense, so that does make it a little appealing, but I'm just going to stick with Hawkinson for now. Um, David Montgomery versus Garrett Wilson. The Chargers, even though they've had bad pass defenses, their run defenses have been pretty solid. Now, I think Montgomery and he's coming off the bye and his injury too. But Garrett Wilson's gonna be number one receiver against the Raiders defense that isn't really that. They're very what do you call it? They're very optimistic. They're opportunistic. So they get a lot of turnovers at good moments. But they don't really have any good number one corners. I mean, they have Marcus Peters, but I think Garrett Wilson's a lot better. So I'm gonna go with Garrett just slightly. Mom's flex. Defense, going with Mom's defense too. Cowboys defense against the Giants. You saw what they did week one, I think they scored like 40 points or something in fantasy, which is just nuts. They'll be at home against the Giants, a team that just lost their quarterback out for the season. So, and Tom's got the Browns defense going against Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore usually does well at home. I mean, Browns defense did pretty well last week, but I just think it's a much tougher matchup. So give me Joan to upset Tom. I don't even know if you call it an upset because I think she's even projected to beat Tom. Yeah, she is. So, and other options too. Not really much for Tom really. So I think he's going with whatever you can go with. For Joan, yeah, she's making the right decisions too. Just looking at a quick look at it, there's nothing else she could do. So I really think Joan, Mom, I like your odds in this one. So there you go. Nashville Packers fan, Dad versus Ben. This is a pivotal one for Nels. Ben, this is pivotal if you want to stay. And so this is a big game for both of them because Ben's trying to stay first in the East, trying to stay above Adrian. I'll do my best to try to help you out, Ben, because I play Adrian, but I don't know. It's gonna be tough. Nels, this is a desperation time because he's in third and he's in real danger of dropping down to fourth, especially if Kerry were to beat Carroll this week. And he'd be out of the playoff race easily, or not officially, but it wouldn't look good if he lost. So this is a pretty pivotal week for Nels. Quarterback situation, give me Lamar over Derek Carr. Running backs, Saquon Barkley and Harris, and easily Ben. What am I even doing? McCaffrey and Etienne both coming off byes. They'll be playing each other, which is funny. But yeah, Ben's got the best running back tandem in the league. So give me Ben at running back. Wide receivers, let's go. Oh yeah, Ben doesn't have AJ Brown playing this week, so that's gonna be a little interesting. Calvin Ridley and Chris Godwin or Michael Pittman, Devontae Adams. Give me Michael Pittman and Devontae Adams just slightly over Calvin Ridley and Chris Godwin. Now I know I just traded Devontae Adams to Nels, but I think he'll be decent. Whatever. He'll probably get like 11 and probably just the fact because I traded him. Now he'll go off, which he probably will. Michael Pittman's been very solid, very great. So yeah, give me those two over Calvin Ridley and Chris Godwin. Tight ends. I'm gonna go with the hot hand. I'm gonna go with Taysom Hill plus David Njoku's playing at Baltimore, and Baltimore's really good defense. They're really tough especially at home. So give me Taysom Hill. Flex, he's got Javonte. Ben's got Amari Cooper. I'm gonna go with Javonte Williams. Um, Even though they are on the road and it's on Monday night at Buffalo, who's a decent defense. Again, Ravens defense, Amari Cooper. I don't like that matchup for Ben. So give me Javonte Williams there. The defenses, Colts did well last week. They are playing the Patriots, who have been playing a little bit better on offense. They are playing in Germany. So we'll see how that goes. Raiders are playing the Jets. The Chargers defense did really well against the Jets last week, and the Raiders did pretty well against the Giants last week. So, however, I'm going to go with the Colts just slightly here, just because I don't really trust the Patriots offense to be super steady. And I think the Jets just had a really bad game against the Chargers last week. And I think they're going to bounce back against the Raiders offense will give the Jets offense plenty of chances to to score on the Raiders. So yeah, I gave Ben the edge at defense and at running back, and that's it. So I'm actually going to pick Nels to beat Ben here. I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be close because McCaffrey and ETN will definitely I think they'll do a lot better than now. Harris has a good matchup, and Barkley usually is the only Giant that scores well in fantasy. But even then, I think these two, just with their abilities to play, you know, pass catching running back as well as just run the run game and getting touchdowns, these two are going to be miles ahead. So that'll make it close. However, I'm going to disagree with this total here. I think Nels barely edges it out because I think Lamar Jackson has a nice bounce back game. I think Pittman and Adams do better than Ben's running backs, and I'm going to go with Taysom Hill because he's going to be that wild card. I think Taysom Hill's going to continue his success, his streak of success, and he'll give Nels 15 to 20 points, maybe even more. So it's going to be really good for Nels. And then other options too. I guess he could go with Debo Samuel over Devontae, but you just got Devontae, so why do that? Or he could go with Debo over Javonte Williams. So and James Conner's coming off the the IR list, so he could go with him over Najee if he wanted to, but Najee's playing a weak run defense, so yeah, I get it. So we'll see how it works with Ben. There's really not much else he could do. I mean, he could go with Jacoby Myers over Amari Cooper. He could go with Tyler Boyd over Amari Cooper. I just don't like Amari Cooper's matchup. He's going against the great Ravens defense, and I just don't see him doing well this weekend. If he does well, then good for him, but I just don't see it. Um, John Lott versus Garrett, last matchup of the week. Um, Looking at it, Justin Herbert versus Joe Burrow. Um, Herbert's been struggling a little bit going against a better team. I'm actually gonna go with Joe Burrow. I think he's slowly steady, slowly rising, and I think Garrett's got the better quarterback this just for this week. Herbert, yeah, I mean the Lions defense, they're okay, but like I don't know, just something tells me that he's been playing much better recently, and Herbert's been struggling lately. So I just give me the hot hand there. Bijan Robinson and Alvin Kamara or Aaron Jones, Deontay Foreman. Now we already know Deontay Foreman got 17. Um, I like Kamara against Minnesota. Bijan Robinson, like I don't know what I'm gonna get with this guy. I mean, I if he's the number one back and he's the main guy and he's not being constantly taken out, especially in goal line situations what the Falcons have been doing, then I would go with John's running backs. However, you know, I mean, Foreman's already got 17 points, so that really helps. He had 5 overs projection. Aaron Jones, he's the most reliable guy in Green Bay's entire offense. So the Packers go where he goes. And the Steelers don't necessarily have the most intimidating run defense. They have good pass rushers, but their run defense isn't that impressive. So it's gonna be tough. So I think I'm actually gonna go with Garrett's running backs just very slightly. Now before the Thursday night game, I probably would have gone with Johns, but because we know Deontay Foreman got 17 points, I think that barely pushes Garrett over the edge. Wide receivers, Tyler Lockett and Chris Olave, DK Metcalf and Mike Evans. Now these two struggled last week. Mike Evans and DK. I think it's going reverse. I think Metcalf goes up great against the weakest pass defense in all of football in Washington. Mike Evans going up against the Titans pass defense, who's actually worse because their Titans run defense is great, but their pass defense is like bottom 5. So I like that combination for Garrett over Lockett and Olave. So Garrett's doing well so far. My prediction, tight end. John did get Travis Kelce, but he's on a bye, so you can't start him just yet. He's still going to go with Trey McBride. Give me George Kittle every day, even though he's only projected zero point 0.7 more. That's a little crazy, but yeah, give me Garrett at tight end. At flex, give me Jonathan Taylor. So I like Jonathan Taylor over Cortland Sutton here. So John gets the advantage of flex. At defense, no question. Garrett gets the advantage. I mean, they're at home. Washington's offense is very, you just never know what you're going to get. Whereas the Packers defense, the Steelers are going to run all over them. And I feel like Pickens and Deontay Johnson will get good games catching the football. So yeah, give me Garrett to win this one. Again, the projections, I don't agree with this. It's just I don't know. We'll see how it works out. Um, for any other options, I mean, yeah, he could go with the hot hand and CJ Stroud over Justin Herbert, but that's tough. You really shouldn't be. It's hard to bench Justin Herbert in fantasy. Um, he could go with Addison over Lockett, or yeah, probably not Olave. I'd keep Olave in, but maybe yeah, I'd probably think about going Addison over Lockett for sure. Um, but yeah, that's the only thing I could possibly think of for that you could do differently, John. For Garrett, I think he's playing it just about right. Yeah, I would go with Burrow over Goff, and Burrow over Will Levis too. And then he's got uh, Goddard on bye, McKinnon on bye. Um, yeah, I think he's playing it just as perfectly as he can. So nothing different there. So yeah, that's that was quite the long video. So I apologize about that, but you know what? I'm just glad to be back, feeling much better, and yeah, just can't wait to keep making these videos normally and not impromptu like this. So if you were listening, I do appreciate it. I know I wasn't as prepared this time, but you know, I was just sick all week and just really want to get a quick video out, or not quick, but I really wanted to get a video out before the games tomorrow. So yeah, should be a fun weekend. So wish everyone best of luck. For those of you in the playoff race, it's getting exciting. So we'll see how everything turns out. Can't wait to see what the standings look like on Tuesday. And yeah, we'll see how everything goes. So okay. Uh, Thank you for watching. Paul Jensen signing off here for the DFFFP. Have a good weekend, guys.